What's up, people? Welcome to another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best music show, talking about everything brutal, new, death, hard, slam, grind, thrash, core, metal. I am one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horskow, with you, with me, with us. I have my partner in crime, the notorious T.I.M. Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how's it going?
Great day.
Good to hear. And joining us once again, third time, fourth time, I forget, can't remember, our regular, the moderator of the r/new metal board on Reddit, Mr. Shawn Robbins. Shawn, thanks for joining.
What's up? Good to be here.
We are glad to have you again.
we got the perfect person for this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his background.
Look at my background. Look at my see if I can show you my phone.
There you go.
My phone even has it. And then oh shit, what album?
Oh jeez. Man, I had one of those shirts, an OG one that I got from the first tour that an ex-girlfriend took. And when we broke up, all I could think of was, that bitch has my Glassjaw shirt.
What an appropriate band to have a ex-girlfriend steal from, considering the subject matter of this album.
That's perfect.
Definitely. So with that wonderful segue, this week we're doing an album deep dive, and what else are we doing? Well, of course, Glassjaw's debut album, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence, 2000 Roadrunner Records, Ross Robinson. Tim, where do we even start? You want to just give us a little bit of background, or?
Yeah, let's do it. Let me go to usually I'm already at the page, but here we go. So yeah, released May 9th, 2000 on Roadrunner Records, produced by Ross Robinson. And here's the great part, mixed by Steve Evans. Now, I did not know that Steve mixed this, but if you're from around the tri-state area, Delaware, Jersey, Philly, or Pennsylvania, he's a fucking staple in them parts.
Dude, he did everything. If you look up I went to his Wikipedia after you mentioned it.
Yeah.
He literally has mixed everything.
Dude, Hatebreed, Snapcase, Saves the Day, Lifetime, All Out War, Dead Guy. The list just goes on. But who better to do it though, honestly? Because the vibe of the record, you need someone who's familiar with that kind of vibe. You know what I mean? So picking him was perfect, I think.
He wanted something that he's like, I know these guys live. How can I record them live?
Yeah.
True.
There was an interview that Justin Beck, the guitarist, did not too long ago, where it was like one of those walking interviews where they went back to where CBGB's was and all that. And unfortunately, he talked about how Ross Robinson kind of used them to get out of his Roadrunner contract. He signed them, recorded them, and was going to submit them to Roadrunner and then get him off. Then he wanted to get off the label, which is kind of fucked up. And I should reach out and see if we can get Justin Beck on, because he's a pretty talkative guy. I think we get some good stories. But one of the stories coming out of the aftermath of this album, how this came out, what was it, 2000? Nu metal has basically hit the third wave, right? You're starting to get
you're getting close to the commercial, like the TRL aspect of nu metal.
Yes, you're getting nu metal, which was influenced by nu metal.
Yeah.
So it's become fully recursive. And these guys came out of nowhere and were a giant blast of fresh air. So,
but at the same time, though, like, I know this is one of the most influential albums of that time period. And probably one of the best records of, that year. But like, I'm sorry, it's just not a nu metal record to me. This is post-hardcore at its finest.
I agree.
This is not a nu metal record, and I think that I wrote in like one of like either Rai Rai's song or one of the other ones where it's like I like pinpointed where it sounded nu metal, and I'm like, it's only for a split second. Yep.
And then the rest of it's a hardcore record.
It's a hardcore post-hardcore record. Yeah. I know I sound like a fucking broken record and I like to break balls and shit, but like when it comes to bands like this, like you got to know where the roots of this come from. Sammy fucking played drums on this record.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? Like
they did a Youth of Today cover.
Yeah, if you know Sammy Siegler, like the dude was in Youth of Today. Who like you know how many bands
Project
the dude
X,
was in?
Judge,
yeah,
Civ, Rival Schools. He played on the Limp Bizkit, that EP, which is one of their better recordings.
I think that people just think it's a nu metal record because of the producer, and it's just because Ross did it does not mean that it's a nu metal record. I just want people to know that, like, like I said, it's not a big deal. Like, think whatever you want. It doesn't affect my life, but at the same time, like one of my favorite records, when it's mislabeled, it kind of aggravates me.
And it's because of Ross, it's because of Indigo, and it's because of Roadrunner. You change any one of those, the whole nu metal label gets gone.
Well, think about also who they were touring with too. I mean, they had to tour with
Deftones,
and Deftones,
Kitty,
all them, and it was all because of the fucking Roadrunner shit.
I mean, this record should have came out on Revelation or Epitaph. You know what I mean?
It definitely would have had some legs. Yeah, if it had been on Revco or Epitaph.
If this comes out on Revelation Records, this record is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Roadrunner didn't give it its due. So, I mean, but at the same time, Roadrunner wasn't really a nu metal label either. It was because Slipknot blew it up, and then it just got its namesake from that. I mean, because Roadrunner, if you look in the 90s, it was Machine Head, Sepultura, you know, all the fucking big fucking thrash bands. And I mean, even though Machine Head wasn't really thrash to me, that was like groove to me. That's a groove metal too. Them two records are straight groove metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
and to your point, Slipknot came out right about this time, right? 99. Nickelback. So those were two money makers for Roadrunner. Whether you like them, whether you like Nickelback or not, they had these two giants at opposite ends of the spectrum. Like both were on the radio, but for different reasons. What they weren't going to give a shit about a 5-piece post-hardcore band from Long Island who had a massive following. And there, again, in that Justin Beck article, and I got to find it and send it to you guys. He talks about how I think it was Mike Ginner they were swapping demos with him, and he says they sound amazing, but then they also remind him of, and he rattled off like 5 to 10 bands where everybody that makes music knows they were talented, knows they were doing something unique, yet they never got the commercial success they deserved. And in hindsight, he was right. I mean, because look, they've managed to put out a career of 20 plus years, but they've never gotten, aside from the people who know their music, know their talent, and can really appreciate it, it never really got the eyes that it should have, or ears that it should have.
Because think of also the bands that ripped off their sound and then also made it pop. So you have somewhat, decent bands like, The Used and Finch and those guys.
Finch,
who, and even like Daryl did guest vocals on that Finch record. He acknowledged that, like, these guys sound like us, but fuck it, like, let's support them as best we can. But it just kept on building and building, and there was more bands that were constantly ripping off that, and then adding this like style with the fucking hair and the skinny jeans and the emo stuff that kind of took off, emo core shit that kind of took off from there. And then Glassjaw was like, what did we just do? Like, what happened?
Right. Yeah. Right, you're right. I never thought about it that way, Shawn, but you're right. There are bands that took the sound and made it just a little bit more commercially accessible. The Used being the best example. They blew up like you wouldn't believe.
That first Used record is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I use that term lightly on records. Like, I think that Finch record is a fucking masterpiece as well.
Oh, perfect album. That first album is perfect.
The way it ends, what it is to burn, just was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I've seen people calling that a nu metal record. I'm just like, how is it?
Here's my address. Come over to my house and say that so I can choke you the fuck out as you do.
Like, it's just crazy, like, to think. I don't know. It's just wild to me to think that. Like, even people are calling this record an emo record. I'm like, where do you hear Sunny Day Real Estate in this?
I actually write down it's the emo movement, but we'll get to that when we get through.
No, I mean, it has moments,
but it's one song though.
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just like there's a big difference between emo and screamo and all that kind of shit.
So I guess we should let's get the elephant out of the room. Right. The biggest knock on this record is the lyrics. Right. That is the biggest knock on the record. Yeah. First of all, Tim and I have said this before. You can't judge art. You have to judge art by when it was made, because art is a point in time. It's a product of its time. You have a young kid who just came out of a brutal relationship and is suffering from Crohn's disease. He is less than happy. Right? Less than happy. And he wrote a whole album about it. So what do you expect? I mean, some of the lyrics can be a little bit aggressive towards women and misogynistic, but again, he's coming out. He's a young kid coming out of a brutal relationship. I mean, how else would you react? I got
here's
dumped
the
when I was in
thing.
my early 20s. It wasn't a good scene.
Here's the thing, and I'm not promoting these lyrics. I'm not saying they're okay, but you have to separate the art from and the artist at the same time. You know what I mean? Like and also you can't 17 years later then someone starts bitching about it was okay for the first 16. You know what I mean? Like it comes at a time where wokeness comes up, and it just that kind of shit aggravates me. Like
I think that
I
think
you
think
know,
of like hip hop and like especially listen to those old Notorious B.I.G. records
oh
where
my
you're just like
god, yeah,
there's so much gross shit in there, but at the same time, like how can you know how much art can you actually end up listening to if you start over analyzing what the people have done in their lives, what the
absolutely.
lyrics are about. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you really need to and it's also person by person. I think especially what happened recently with Arcade Fire, there's people kind of going like, oh, I don't know if I could listen to them again. It's just like well, that's up to you. It's up to you to make that decision. No one's stopping
Mm-hmm.
you. And there's also something about a lyricist that kind of construe that. If someone I can almost understand, I can totally understand a girl listening to this and going like, ugh,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then moving on to their second record and be like, okay, it's much more
Yeah.
nuanced and poetic. But this one is so funny because I went to the anniversary show and there was like a sea of girls and women singing along to this album,
Right.
to those fucking lyrics. What's one of them? What's one that I wrote down? Oh shit. Was it "Suck on My dick and it comes blood"? I think is one of
Yep.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're just like, and they're just screaming it. So it's like, yeah, you gotta kind of like separate those moments, know exactly what you're listening to, and doesn't mean that you listening to this album means you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
Right.
you're able to kind of like separate that, and not focus on I'm shitty, I'm just like him, I must be a rapist, misogynist, asshole if I listen to Glassjaw.
Yeah.
Not true. You'll
Right.
be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's the same fact that if you listen to Lost Prophets and you enjoy that record, that doesn't make you a kitty toucher.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the
Right.
same fucking thing. But don't get me wrong, I can't listen to that because that shit is disgusting.
I think that's the
Yeah.
thing is it's the lyricist too, because you're just kind of like, you're like, even though he's not singing about it, like,
yeah. Is he singing about it? Yeah.
that's the guy. That's the guy that did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like after Jared from Subway gets
Mhm.
caught, it's like I ain't eating that shit no more.
So yeah, it's like I know he's not making the sandwiches, but I just can't put anything in my mouth after that.
Mhm.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But I was same thing, Shawn. I went to the Philly date, and he does mumble and kind of gloss over some of the lyrics that are highly problematic.
Yeah.
But to your point, that place was sold out. It was a mix of both genders, and everybody was singing along. So
Yes.
take
because
from that
the
what you will.
record means a lot to people. It's
Yes.
so you have a lot of people basing the lyrics on the record. It's not the lyrics, it's the fucking songs.
Yeah.
It's the riffing. It's just the way it makes you feel at the end of the day. I mean, it's people aren't listening to it and going, "Yeah, I'm gonna just berate women now." Like Shawn said, it's not the way it works. You
Yeah.
got to separate that shit, man. So like, just don't be butthurt about it. You either listen to it or you don't. I'm gonna listen to it for the rest of my life because it's a fucking amazing record. So that's the end of that shit.
Yep. Okay, so let's jump in. So we'll go track by track, kind of bounce around, see how things are going. So obviously the album opener, Pretty Lush. Tim, I'm gonna start with you.
I knew you were gonna fucking do this to me. Hold on one second. One of you guys do, because I have so many notes on this record. It's like
All right,
notes.
Shawn, I'll kick it to you.
Okay. So it's such a great opener too, because it's just like, here we fucking go. Like, strap in, motherfuckers. Like, this is like, this isn't your typical like hardcore like album. And no one had sung like that. And when I heard it, the first thing I could think of was Elvis Costello. I was like, what? What does this guy think he is? So, and then the rawness of it, like the slap, when he's just kind of like,
Oh yeah,
you hear that in the
before he
background,
goes-
he's just
yeah.
and he's just like fucking like, and then a tangent he goes on about like three quarters of the way through the song. He's like, only 3 words come to mind, and then he goes, "You fucking," like you just like,
Ugh.
you're like,
you could tell. Yeah.
and then that's when I knew I fell in love with that record, because I was like, I feel like I shouldn't be listening to this. I feel like I'm listening to a rough cut of something that's like really raw, that this guy's really bearing his soul and not letting anything come through. Because I think everything that I had listened to before this was kind of like an overpolished, overproduced records, that I think the only thing that I ever came close with that was Korn's Daddy, where he's kind of letting loose. I was like, this isn't the last track of the album though. This is the first track.
Yeah.
And this is going to be it for the rest of the ride. And I was just like, and then going back to my point before, you can lead a horror to water. Like people were screaming that in the crowd.
Yeah.
And that's not, he's definitely going like, he's letting out all his frustrations over how much he's been wronged by the female gender in his, short, I think he was probably 19, 20 when he was writing these lyrics. So, and he's admitted to it. He's just like, I'm not proud that I wrote that, but I wrote it and I can't take it back.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when you're 19, 20 years old, you're considered an adult, but you're not fully developed as an adult yet.
No, your brain isn't developed till you're 26. Yeah.
I mean, you have to think of that kind of stuff. But other than that, I'm just going to come in here. What a fucking opener. I mean, that driving riff has always been a favorite of mine. It's just fucking beautifully written, dude. Like, I mean, it don't really get much better as an opener than this. And then the bass licks in this song are just top fucking notch as well.
So in preparation for this episode, I actually listened to this on headphones, which I haven't done in a while. And the thing that jumps out to me in the first track, and you hear it through the rest of the album, the noodly Todd Weinstock parts.
Yeah.
And that, Shawn, I will admit, was seeing them live. It was great. That part was kind of missing because Justin Beck said they don't play with the second track. It's just one track. It's him. But like the noodly parts, which are more apparent in the second album, right? In Worship and Tribute are really apparent. But on this, it was a kind of the weird kind of arpeggio stuff he does in the background. And it adds something almost subliminal. You got to listen for it to find it.
What's the one?
How much of a monster is that chorus, though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just, it's perfect, dude. Sorry, Shawn.
No, I'm just singing it. You can't live on tomorrow.
I mean, and like you said, like when I first listened to it too, I'm like, this dude like is very like, because I didn't really know much about Daryl and stuff back then when I first heard this, but like it takes balls to put your voice on like that, because he just gave it his all, did not give a fuck if his voice was cracking. I mean, that's just fucking talent to me, man. And I to this day, I think he's one of the best vocalists right now.
Yeah. I remember this album came out at the time in my life where I was bird dogging everything Roadrunner, everything. And I was in the year after I graduated college, I was in a house with a bunch of dudes. We had dial-up, and I was following the Roadrunner website, and they signed them, and there were tracks that you could stream on the website. The first one was Pretty Lush, and I think the second one was Hurting and Shoving. But it was like I literally waited 15 minutes to stream like the first 90 seconds. And I remember going, holy shit, like this is something else. Like, what? I don't even know what this is, but I need more of it.
Yeah, they used to hand out CD singles of Siberian Kiss at shows when this was popping off. And people were fucking going crazy on message boards about this stuff.
It was something else. I do wonder though, to your point, Shawn, about how, Daryl comes off as almost quite unhinged, right? We all know that that's how Ross records. He pushes his vocalists to get the most he can out of them. I wonder if they had stayed with Don Fury and they had went back to Don Fury for the major label debut. I wonder what it would have sounded like.
Well, did you ever hear the Don Fury?
The demos are good.
Fury Deftones demos he's did? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different.
Oh, yeah.
But great, still good.
So we open with Pretty Lush, and then we go into the one of the albums that totally nails the second track, Challenge, Siberian Kiss. Tim?
One of my favorite songs ever.
Mhm.
That chorus is another monster. I mean, it's fucking another perfect song. This is the very first song I heard from them because I was leaving a factory show and they were handing these CD singles out, and Siberian Kiss was the single at that time. I don't know if it was, but they were handing these out, and that was the song on there. Or maybe
Yeah,
it was
this-
a comp I heard it on, but I'm pretty sure they handed these out as CD singles. But just a chaotic, amazing song. I mean, no one was writing riffs like this back then. I mean, they were, but not as good as this. Like, these are
Mhm.
menacing riffs.
Yeah.
And you have menacing riffs with a highly singable chorus.
Yes.
Highly singable to the point where, to your point, Shawn, and when I saw him in Philly, everybody was singing along.
Mhm.
Yep.
Everybody in that room was singing along.
Yeah, I mean, it comes to a point where Daryl doesn't even have to sing because the whole crowd does it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fucking got to be an amazing feeling as a vocalist for people. How many people does the Fillmore hold, or where you went to the show, Shawn? How many people you think? Like,
Oh, Chicago Metro. Yeah, absolutely. Like 500 people.
yeah, I mean, it's like in the Fillmore is probably 1,000.
Yeah, this was at it was at Union Transfer, which I think is
was it?
I think it's either 1,000 or a 1,200 cap. It's big.
I
It's a
could
big
have swore
room.
that was at the Fillmore.
No, it was Union Transfer. It was awesome.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, to having probably 3/4 of that crowd singing, I mean, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny. You could tell who got into the band and what album because there were people who were on the floor and really jacked for the first one.
Mhm.
And then when the second one came on, they all went to the bar. And the people who were really jacked about Worship and Tribute were on the floor and they were singing for that one. It was really cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched Anthrax play Caught in a Mosh, and the entire crowd was singing, and it was fucking shaking, dude.
I need to take my son to see them because he had a phase, like, and he's 6, by the way. He had a phase when he was 5 years old where he was caught in a mosh, skeletons in the closet, and what's their other famous one that they do?
Indians,
yeah.
Time.
No, not Time.
I Am the Law.
God damn it.
I know what you're talking about. I forget too.
Anthrax. Okay. Shit.
Yeah, if you go on Spotify and look up their most popular songs, I'm sure it's in there.
That's what I just did. Oh, Madhouse.
Okay. Oh, Madhouse. Yeah.
Yeah, at the Madhouse, and I'm just like, yes. So yeah, I gotta take him to see them because they're still fucking awesome. Live.
Dude,
Were they
what's his
good,
name
Tim?
from Shadows Fall? It was shredding.
Yeah.
Fucking
Sweet.
John, he shreds still, dude.
That's great.
They were
That's
fucking
awesome.
amazing live, man. Wait, are we on to the next one?
Yeah. Let's so 1-2 punch, right? Pretty Lush, Siberian
Yeah.
Kiss. And then they basically throw a bootlegger turn and go in the other direction. When 1-8 becomes 2-0. Shawn, I'll start with you.
So he writes another hobby for a guy like me. So what's the song by Kanye West, Runaway?
Yes.
Like he kind of talks about like, I'm a douchebag. Like, I don't know why you're with me. You just know that like I'm kind of like a piece of work and whatever. If you try to get with me, then just know what you get. And this is your warning. I felt like this was kind of his way of saying that, but also he would kind of bounce back and forth and be like, hey, I'm using you, but you're a bitch and I hope you die alone. That's what he says. I hope you enjoy dying alone at the end. So, and it's just like, it kind of comes in and out, and then he just like loses his mind like halfway through the song. It's so good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Tim?
this is a 1, 2, 3 punch for me. I mean, this is another banger. I mean, and I love the lyrics in this song. I mean, dude, especially that part. I guess we're breaking up part. Like,
Yeah.
dude, it's just like I said, the riffing and just the song structures and the musicality of these songs are just second to fucking none to me, man.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're here. I'm sad when you're near. I mean, yeah. If you're a 19-year-old kid going through a breakup, this is what you're going to say. I just remember the first time listening to the album. You have upbeat song with Pretty Lush. You have something even more aggressive with Siberian Kiss, and then they go in the other direction, and they do this kind of slowed down love song, right, where all the instruments drop out except the drums, and then it's just the drum, the bass, and him. Like that was so totally in the other direction from the first two songs that I was like, whoa, what is this? Where is this going?
Yeah. I love that part. It's just because like it's like that upbeat double snare part. I love that shit, man.
Yeah.
And then when it comes into that melodic part, like that melodic part underneath of it, oh my God, so fucking good, man. Them melodic parts, them driving melodic parts. I don't know who wrote them. Probably what's his name? Not just who's the other guitar player?
Todd Weinstock.
Yeah, I think he did a lot of that lead stuff, but that stuff is beautiful, man. And that right there is where the post-hardcore comes in with the Finch and stuff, because that is a main staple of that kind of music right there. Them just driving lead parts that just fucking make you like get that fuzzy feeling. You know what I mean?
Like, we're fucking angry, and then
Yeah.
quiet. We're fucking angry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff, man.
Yeah. And so we go from Pretty Lush to Siberian Kiss to 1-8 when 1-8 becomes 2 zeros, and then we go into Rai Rai's song, which is kind of like an upbeat party song, right?
This is probably one of my favorite Glassjaw songs. Yeah.
I mean, this is the one that starts out with the wow, the background, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to hate this song when I was younger. It's now my favorite Glassjaw song. It's my favorite song on this record.
Why did you hate it?
I don't know. Back then, I just like hated like how it was like really happy sounding, and I would always skip it. And then as my music taste got a little different, like I would listen to it. I'm like, what was I thinking? This is the best song on this record.
Daryl said that this is his angriest song on the whole record, even angrier than White Lotus. Like, because like he's angry at a friend who is dating this girl in college, and then the girl keeps cheating on him, but the guy acknowledges it and doesn't do anything about it, never stands up for himself. So he writes in that perspective, which is kind of like, why do I do this for you? Like, why am I even doing this? But he constantly goes in this cycle, fighting himself, but also fighting her. Like, I hate you, or I hope you know that I hate you, but I'm going to stay with you because I don't know if I hate myself too. Like in this, but it's in this happy, exactly, happy, almost like punk song, but it's not. He's fucking pissed. He's pissed at his friend, and he's pissed at his friend's girlfriend.
Yeah, and then this is the song where you can almost see everybody on stage tapping their foot, right? Like moving their leg as they're playing along because they're staying in rhythm. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Tim?
Dude, I don't know what he says, but he's like, he's like, we're not right. Oh my God, I love that shit.
Yeah.
So good, man. Yeah, it is quick. It quickly became my favorite song after being my least favorite, it happens a lot for me because I think, like Jay always says, like as you get older, your tastes start to change. Like I used to hate 80s music. It's one of my favorite genres now. You know what I mean? It's just as you
Def Leppard. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, like synth, like pop and shit like that. Like Duran, shit like that. I just think as you get older, you start to realize where the talent really is. I mean, especially being an 80s kid, you know what I mean? So
I always thought 80s was cheesy, but now I put on Depeche Mode and I'm like, I'm into it.
Hell yeah. Dude, I listened to Duran record the other day, and I'm like, this fucking record's amazing.
and the stuff that comes out now that's influenced from then, right? Time Cop, Carpenter Brute, Soft Kill,
Drab Majesty,
Majesty, Trevor something. I was just listening to Shawn. I had their shirt on the other day. The one band that you suggested, Money, right? They all have that. They all have that 80s kind of reach where it's. By the way, Soft Kill pulls it off live too. They're really good live.
Do they? Okay.
Really tight.
Love them.
Yeah, and nothing you could kind of put in that same shoegazy alt metal type stuff. They were really good too. So it's funny you say, Shawn, that this is the most aggressive song as far as Darrow says on the album, because I think these next two, by far, are brutally oppressive to the point where, again, I'm listening the first time through back in 2000. I'm going, I didn't see this coming, right? So Love Bites and Razor Blades. Shawn, what do you got?
it has one of my favorite lines in the whole album, and it's and when you can't keep up with the Joneses, gun them all down. I'm like, oh, I remember reading that as like, I think I was 18 or 19 years old, and I was just kind of like, well, this is my fucking favorite album ever. Like, wow, this it blew my mind. But man, like some of the lyrics on here, and then like it's again like another like you know anti like why are you like sleeping around, like I gave you my heart, like I gave everything to you and you're just fucking ruining it. And then at the end it's almost like it's that nice guy thing. It's like, hey, I'm too fly and shy just for you.
Yep.
And then like and just a message to all you women who disrespect us nice guys, I'll mark you all. That's what he says at the end. I'll mark you all. Like, I got your number. But yeah, this it for me, 18 years old, and just kind of like, why is any girls talking to me? This was like, like, yeah, Daryl, yeah, you got my number. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Tim?
All I gotta say is that fucking chorus, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's and everybody knows listens to this show, I'm big on the choruses. You have to be able to write a good chorus. I'm gonna keep saying it. And this song just delivers, man. Because some of the song, it's kind of like, yeah, but that chorus comes in and you're just like, oh God, there it is. There's the perfect part I've been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's I kind of think like that's why I always say music back in like the late 90s, early 2000s is my favorite era of music, because you got the passionate music out at that time. These days, you get more of the like, it's more of just like the people going and they know what they're going to do and they put it on tape and it's like, oh, I was expecting that. But records back then, I kind of feel like bands actually got in the studio together and they wrote the parts together and they stayed in studios together. That's when you get the records that are perfect.
Yeah.
When you have means of just like sending, like if me and Shawn were in a band, I'm like, all right, Shawn, I know you live in fucking yeah. It's like, I'm gonna send you a Dropbox file. You just play your drums to this, send it back to me, and it's just like,
we'll master it. Yep.
Songs are good, but like you don't get that feel when you're in the studio together and you can look at each other and you can be like, that sucks. That's great. Change that. You know what I mean?
It felt like it felt more life or death, because I think that's why some filmmakers like filming on film and not digital, because there's a disposal aspect to digital. Oh, we didn't get that right. We can just delete that and do it again. With film, you can just be like, we need to do this now and do it right, because if we're not, we're fucking dead. We need to actually do this. Yeah. And this this album feels like just like, if we don't fucking put everything into this right now and show them that we mean fucking business, we might as well just throw in the towel now.
Yeah, you're right, Shawn. It removes the ephemeralness of, you can just do a million takes a million times, right? Which is, I think it's called comping, which is how most pop albums are done, where they actually break it down to every single syllable that Avril Lavigne sings is comped together, or Kelly Clarkson is comped together to make it sound absolutely perfect. And your ear can hear that something's funky about it. It's like, this is too clean.
Well, I mean, the standard person's not going to, but yeah, you're going to. People like us are going to hear that kind of shit.
Yeah, people who are into music will hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, and you got to think too, there's not many producers anymore like Ross and stuff like that who wanted to get that out of that band, especially someone like Daryl who can sing that good. Like, producers nowadays are just more concerned about the final product, how it sounds. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no more of that. We got to make this record the best it can be. Nowadays, it's like, no, we got to make this record sound as loud as we can, because it has to compete with, the other bands and shit. That's why I think music nowadays, yes, there's good bands, but you don't hear that passion anymore. And I miss that shit, man.
Yeah.
And records like this is what I fucking long for, you know what I mean? And I'm happy that we could still just grab our phone and fucking put on Love Bites and Rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. So let's go into She Should Have Let Me Sleep, Hurting and Shoving. Tim.
Go ahead.
No, Shawn, you go first.
Okay. No, you let me go first, because it's going to be short for me. This might be the only track where I could skip, honestly. And I'm gonna guess this is Jay's favorite song because of that.
No.
Good. Okay, good.
No,
I mean,
no.
It's a good song. It just kind of bores me, and I think this is like a low point of the record. And that's really all I have on this one. Go ahead,
Shawn?
Shawn.
It's a good one. But like it just the way it opens, just like when I get back, like
Screaming.
I remember like thinking like, what is he talking about? And then reading the lyrics and then rereading them like today, I was like, oh, he's talking about like, you know, him coming back from tour to his girlfriend and being like, you know, hey, you know, when I get back, you know, we're gonna have this life together, we're gonna be happy and all this stuff. And then you know, sending letters back and forth. And then when he finally gets back, he just kind of like, fuck you then. Jesus Christ. I was being surrounded by groupies and living the rock star lifestyle. And then I get back and you're just kind of, you're the one staying home, and then you're the one who's fucking around. Is when he ends up just being like, God damn it. And you can hear it. You can hear it in that song that it's almost like it happened the day before he wrote it. Like he's just like, or they recorded it.
So
like,
go on, Shawn. Go on. Finish.
No,
sorry.
That's what my end of thought is. Just like it's just like it happened, and then he went to the studio, and then he just yelled it in the microphone.
And that is what, for me, this was not my least favorite song, but kind of jarring because it starts out with this very aggressive driving beat and him screaming into the microphone. I think it's a great song. My favorite part is about the 3-minute mark. It switches rhythms and it goes, and he's like kind of spoken wording through the end of the song.
Almost through the whole song is very spoken wordish too. Yeah.
Yes, but that tempo and rhythm change in the last like 40 seconds, to me, that's the part that always sticks out in my ear about this song. I'm like, man, that's really fucking cool. I love when hardcore bands do that. I love when metal bands do that. You totally introduce a brand new riff in the last 30 seconds and ride it out. I think that's awesome. So coming off of this, we go to Major. Tim?
Oh, right back into what I love. This is a fucking great song right here. This reminds me of a song that could be on the Finch record.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It has a lot of similarities to what it is to Burn songs. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because Daryl was featured on the record. So, but when did that Finch record come out? Was it 2000?
I think it was 2000, if not 2000. Was it 2002? It was later, right?
It was 2. Yeah, you're right.
But I remember I had just left home and I had my first job. I was actually working in Maine. And someone was like, I went to a show and someone told
2002.
me, oh, you say, oh, you like Glassjaw? You should listen to Finch. And then I picked up that, and I think Daryl's done guest vocals on it. I was like, what? And then then listening to it, and I was just like, all right, this is my second favorite album.
Is it your second favorite record right now?
Well, I mean, what, the Finch album?
Yeah.
No, like, I mean, at the time,
okay.
Having only listened to a healthy diet of like Glassjaw, Dredge, and that's about it. When that Finch album came out, I was like, I needed something else to kind of, ride with my Glassjaw obsession, because at the time, nothing sounded like Glassjaw to me. Yeah. Like, I was listening to like other stuff like Every Time I Die and stuff like that, but nothing was filling that void where I needed more. So it wasn't until the Used and until Finch came out with those albums where I was like, yes, more of this. Can
I just say it now? Let's schedule a Finch dive for soon. Let's do it.
And I kind of think we shouldn't just do the album. Let's do their catalog, because now with the most recent album and taking a step back and looking, it's a shame that they all can't just find a way to work with each other.
It's a complicated history of a band, really.
Yeah, because that Comeback album is fucking amazing. They picked up and they took all the great parts from What It Is to Burn and all the great parts from Sail Out of the Sunshine, and they put them together in a way that actually made radio songs. Like that whole album could, well, whatever. I'm taking us down a rabbit hole, but yes, we have to talk about Finch. Yeah, I remember I bought that live DVD when it came out. I swear to God, I sat here by myself one night. Kim was out doing something, drinking beers, and I'm literally crying in the chair singing along, because it's an amazing album. It really is an amazing album.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Glassjaw. We just did Major, where the quiet to me was like, oh, oh, we're going this way now. Like it was, but I will be honest, this is kind of where my interest, when I first listened to the album, it kind of started to drift because it was like, are we really gonna the dynamics can be exhausting because it feels like a sine wave, right? You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, and it works. But as an adult, I can appreciate it. I remember in my younger years, I was kind of like, okay, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Get me to everything you ever wanted to know about silence. Like that's where I wanted to get to.
Yeah, this I as we go to the next song, I'm on the same boat with the way the record goes up and down. I totally agree. I think this is a record that's a first half good. Yeah. And then it kind of dwindles down a little bit. And then, as we go, I'll explain more, but I totally agree, Jay.
But I will say this though, seeing it live when they played it soup to nuts, the parts that used to bore me on record, I was singing along the whole time. So let's go to the next song, right? Her name was Boom. This is the one that starts with the drum, right? Mm-hmm. And it's boom. Fantastic.
This is an emo song.
Yes.
This is your ballad song.
This is your ballad song, and it's a love song. It's actually about Daryl falling in love with one of his friends. And there's no he doesn't ruin it. The only time that it kind of goes nuts, which makes me wonder if it was just always supposed to be there anyway, because I think when I saw them live, I don't think they did the end fucking freak out that happens at this song.
No, we didn't. No.
But in a way, I feel like that improvised like scream fest he ends up doing at the end of the song is like him knowing that I can't be with you because you're my friend. I don't want to ruin that. So I'm just going to let out everything. I'm just going to fucking scream my head off. And then, okay, we're back. All right, we're friends. We're good. And this is that complication of emotions that he's having. So, good song, though.
Yeah, it's good. It's just definitely a ballad song. And I tend to skip over ballad songs a lot. But this is a good song. It's just not a song where I would, like, put the record on and go right to it. You know what I mean?
No. Right. If I'm making a Spotify emo playlist, I'm going to drag and drop that one in there. But not touch all the other ones.
I'm glad you brought that up, Shawn, because the second half of this album is the more emo part of the album, right? Like the first half, the first 6-7 songs had way more of a hardcore type tinge to it. Yeah. This has more of what we know as traditional emo sound.
Yeah.
And that was
I guess you're right on that one.
And that was just I lost track here. We're
her
on piano.
Her middle name.
That was her name was Boom. Okay, so now we go to piano.
I love this song.
Tim?
I think at this point in the record, it's just where you have to throw another banger in because this is a banger track right here.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the two songs, I feel like the song before that, like you said, is the beginning of the end for this one. And then you come back and you throw this one in there. I'm just happy they didn't have this like track 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you would have let loose all at first, and then you would have just had all your slower stuff at the end of the record. But I think this is the perfect opportunity to throw piano in right now. Because it's a great fucking track.
It is.
Before I go to you, Shawn, this song, the intro to this song, right? It's very quiet. It's very much guitar, and then they slowly go into the song. This is the best dramatic foreshadowing of what comes on the next album. Because it's way a little more experimental. It's got that emo flourish to it. You can tell they're leaning into their musicianship. It's not so much, like a hardcore thing. And they kind of play with some sound that they don't really do on the rest of the album. Well, they did it in. You're right. They did it in Major. He touches on it, and Her Name Was Boom. Like you can tell they're kind of leaning towards what would become the sound on Worship and Tribute. What did you think, Shawn?
Oh, I love this song so much. I love singing this at the live shows because you're just like, I like that part. Oh my God, it was so much fun. It's actually the most like, it's the song that you if you have problems with the lyrical content of this song, Piano is the song you go to because it's about not selling out, being a rock star. Essentially, it's them going on tour with bands who like sold their soul to being, signing to a label and everything. And it was their way of just being like, that's not us. I've got to keep my PMA. Like, I'm I'm doing this. Like, yeah, fuck you guys. Like, so I this is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. And I didn't know how much I loved it until I saw it live again. And yeah, great song.
So we come out of this, right? So now we're 10 tracks in.
Mm.
And you remember, and everybody, our listeners, audience remembers, back in the 2000s, you filled your albums. If you had 79 minutes, you made it 79 minutes.
Sure.
These next 3 songs, I think, is the car accelerating to full speed to smash into the wall. Like, this is them saying, fuck it, we're going out. And the next song is the shortest song on the album at 1 minute and 43 seconds, Babe. And Shawn, I'm going to go right back to you, listening through the whole thing.
In case you forgot what band you were listening to, Babe comes out and just goes like, no, we're a Long Island hardcore band, and fuck you, watch this. Like, it is crazy. It's definitely the most hardcore they get.
You fucking nailed it right there.
It's great right there. You could, all their influences are out in full force on this one, and it's awesome.
You take Daryl out of this song and put a hardcore singer in it. This is a hardcore song.
Yeah.
Yep, you got the harmonics, and you even have a breakdown at the end. Which is the coolest part, right? Yeah. This is what them basically going for it. Let's show them that we're still from New York. 1 minute and 40 seconds, which then takes them into the title track. Everything you ever wanted to know about Silence, Tim.
I really don't feel like this song gets going though. Like, I feel like it just stays at a stagnant pace. Isn't this song about his Crohn's disease?
It's about his Crohn's, and it's about him not having any support from his girlfriend at the time, who was just kind of like not sympathetic to what he was doing. And then coming out of high school and just trying to deal with like all the emotions that come out with that. And then also being like, where's my support system? I thought you were supposed to be my support system. Well, fuck you then. And then he wrote the song.
Yeah, I think. But Jay, before you say, is this your favorite song on the record?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you did. Oh, you didn't. It didn't happen yet.
No, it's Motel of the White Locust.
Wow.
But
okay.
I think you're right. But I think it's done that way purposefully, because it seems like it's a slow crescendo, right? Like, it's slowly building and building. He's getting more and more frustrated, more and more angry. And it ends with him just yelling, this is what it's like to be alone. This is what it's like to be alone. And then the whole song falls apart, right?
Yeah.
So to your point, Tim, I think it's an accurate observation that it really doesn't go anywhere per se. Yeah. But I think it's purposefully building, because then we get to the next song and they just fucking go for it.
It's almost like an interlude. It's just kind of like, don't define us by this song. It's not going to be a single. It's just going to be like, this is like, I feel like he needs to get this down on paper and like record it in some form or another. And that's when they go into the next song and just kind of like, we're back.
So let's take it home with the last one. Motel of the White Locust. This is, I think, the best song on the album, because I think they go full speed.
They do
the entire thing. And he's just not happy. And I remember just listening to this. It was after my mom died, and I dumped my girlfriend, my high school girlfriend, finally graduating college. 7 years, I finally ended it. And I just remember the end of it. Take these members over with you, pack your shit and leave. And he just kept going. And I was like, I'm about emotionally at the end of my rope too, buddy. So that's basically how I feel.
I wrote down the same exact thing, Jay. Literally the same exact thing. I totally forgot how many times they say that in a row. Yep.
Do you know who he's talking to in that line? He's talking to his roommate, because his roommate was fucking his girlfriend. So when he says pack your shit and take her fucking with you, take her fucking, because he was fucking him. And then the song's about being cheated on, and it goes hard. It goes hard.
It's definitely a great ending to the record. I mean, I totally forgot about that piano part too.
Oh, Lostin, I think that's called. And
so that's
it's like an epilogue
hidden track. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you listen to it on iTunes or on Apple, like, I was listening to it and I'm like, oh shit, I totally forgot about that.
So what did you have for that song?
Shawn? Me?
Oh, Shawn. No, I already did you. Yeah. Anything else we haven't touched on?
No, I just wrote that he was being cheated on, and that there was a message to his roommate and pack your shit and leave. Take her fucking with you. And then Lostin, if you read the lyrics, or and then he's it's like an epilogue to that album. I'm just going like, hey, it's almost like a message directly to the girl who he knew was maybe going to listen to this record, and go like, hey, you know what? We went through some hard times, but it's too late for you, and it's too late for me too. So the record is over. He says it right there, but the record's over, and I got nothing else to say to you, and that's it. And then if you count the bonus stuff, which is like Modern Love Story, which is the Youth of Today cover,
Yeah.
And then they do a demo of
Convectuoso.
Convectuoso, yeah.
Did they close with that when you saw them, Shawn?
They performed it, but I don't know if they performed. I don't remember if they performed it with the end of this one or the end of Worship and Tribute, because the studio version of that song was supposed to be at the end of Worship and Tribute.
Yeah, I think they ended the Philly show with it. I was gone at that point. I left at the cavalcade of Wide World of Sports or some shit, whatever that weird title.
That's pretty much the last song anyway. And I think they did El Mark after that, which El Mark is so fucking good.
But so Motel the White Locust is basically the ender with Lawson as the bonus track, and then Modern Love Story and Convectuoso, the demo, show up on the 2009 remaster. So all in all, I mean, do I think this is an amazing album? Yes. Does it stand the test of time? Yes. Do I think these guys knew they were going to influence as much as they influenced? I don't think so.
Absolutely.
I don't think so. I think they were just doing their own thing, and a whole bunch of people heard it and went, holy shit, I'm running with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think back then too, like the Long Island scene was just fucking popping back then. I mean, you had Sky Cane Falling, Trip Face, shit like that.
VOD. Yep.
VOD. I mean, just back then, that scene was pretty much huge on the East Coast. I mean, not going to say it was the biggest scene, but it was one of the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to this day, you still have amazing bands coming out of Long Island, and it's just,
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree, Jay. Like, how many bands rip this sound or try to rip this sound? You know what I mean? It's definitely one of the most highly influential records of just that time period. I mean, so still to this day, you hear bands ripping this stuff. So
Yep,
definitely.
It's kind of like Deftones, though. Like, I think Glassjaw, when you have a singer like him, it's hard to replicate that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to replicate Jason Beck's guitar playing. It's just hard, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in that case, that's the shit that makes it the most influential as well, because people strive to be that good, to be that, they strive to have a band that's that musically solid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why records like White Pony are that fucking good, because you'll never have a record like that ever again.
And that's who they took out when they toured for the White Pony. They took out Glassjaw.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you remember who the third opener was, Tim? It was Deftones, Glassjaw, and Shawn, do you remember who was the
I thought it was Taproot.
It was Taproot, yeah.
Really? Because then the Deftones took them out again with Incubus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I missed the Deftones Glassjaw tour. I did see the Deftones Incubus Taproot tour. Okay.
I saw them with Hatebreed and Converge in 2002.
Really?
Yeah, and that was great. It was Hatebreed, Converge, Glassjaw, and Skinless.
Oh wow!
Jesus.
The show from Pittsburgh on that tour is up somewhere on YouTube, and it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
They were all at the top of their game, and they just like they were having fun. And
because Shawn, that was Jane Doe. That was everything you ever wanted to know about Silence, and that was Perseverance, right?
Yeah.
So all three bands were hitting stride, right?
Yeah.
Damn,
I have a whole new respect for Hatebreed after just seeing them the other day, because them songs fucking hit live, man.
They still bring it. I mean, they've changed, and they play to the Five Finger Death Punch demographic now, but those first couple albums are still monsters, and they sound good live. So let's take it over with Glassjaw. So I'm assuming that anybody who's listening or watching this is a fan of Glassjaw, but if you haven't checked them out, check out everything you ever wanted to know about Silence. Go digging into the back catalog. The next album is a major label. I think it was on Warner Brothers. And then they kind of got weird for a little bit. There was Coloring Book. There was a whole bunch of EPs. And the newest album was
Material Control,
which was really good.
Yo, Shiva. I'm sorry. That's the best Glassjaw song.
Really?
And New White Extremity, back to back, banger. Jesus Christ, that record is so good.
It's very good, and that's them back to their roots.
Really. Yeah, that record is Coloring Book mixed with this record and Worship. I think that when that record came out, I was like, oh, here goes some more weird fucking Coloring Book stuff, which I love Coloring Book. Don't get me wrong. I think them two records and the Color Green are fucking perfect. I think they should have released them as one record. But the new record is just so fucking good, man.
Did if you guys get a chance, watch. They played 2018. They played Pukkelpop, which is like in the Netherlands or something. And I think there's like 45 people in the audience and like the staff. It must have been right as the doors were opening. They played, but it is a fantastic live set. They play a lot of the newer stuff. But yeah, it's what a monster of a band. So yeah, so check out Glassjaw.
Before we go, though, out of 10, Shawn, what is this record out of 10 for you?
This is a 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Only because, like, only because, like, it's a product of its time to a certain extent. Like, it spoke to, it would have been a 10 out of 10 for me for when I was 18, 19, and when I was taking this in. It resonated with me perfectly. But now, like, Worship and Tribute resonates with me more. That's my 10 out of 10. This is like I'm driving. I need something to wake me up where I know every word to every song, and then just like crank it up as high as I can. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, that it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Jay?
I'm going to say this. It's a 9 out of 10, but the Finch album is a 10 out of 10.
Finch album is 11 out of 10 for me.
I think, don't get me wrong, I love this album, but I think What It Is to Burn takes everything about this, removes some of the misogyny, makes it a little bit more audience friendly, and they stack, even if you take the Daryl songs out, they stack 9 fantastic songs. And it only gets better. The second half is better than the first. But yeah, this is still an amazing album. Would I give it a 10 out of 10 if I never saw the guy do the Don Copter to me at the kiddie show at the at the Birch Hill and Old Bridge? Maybe, but at least I can tell that story. But yeah, no, it's still an amazing album, and it still holds up really well. If you're gonna listen with headphones.
Absolutely.
Because all the noodly weird stuff that makes them so unique, you're gonna miss it if you try to listen in a room with a speaker.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. This is an 8 out of 10 for me. But I agree with Jay. I think the Finch record comes out and it just blows this out of the water. But this is an 8 out of 10 for me. I mean, there's a couple skippable tracks, but don't, like Jay said, go into it with headphones and really take it in. Like, don't put it on in your car. Really sit there, make a drink, and just take it in. Because I think that's the proper way to listen to this record and the Finch record if you haven't heard that yet.
Yeah. All right. So let's take it home. So newbreed_podcast at Twitter and on Instagram, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. And for any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints. Shawn, people want to find you. Where can they find you?
Reddit. We're on
r/numetal.
We're on r/numetal. We're reaching 20,000 members right now, which
amazing.
Is pretty cool. I didn't. We do weekly album discussions. We just did drop, Drag Pipe to this past weekend, which I don't think anyone's ever heard of Drag Pipe before, but they were this little band that kind of opened for a lot of new metal bands back in the early 2000s. But and they have an X-rated music video on YouTube, to watch that. And then we got no AMAs coming up. We just did one with Trust Company, which went fantastic. That guy Kevin is just a class act, and yeah, just constantly check out the subreddit to look for premium new metal content.
Yeah. And I just want to say before we go, like, seriously, if you're not on there, it's a great little community, man, because you don't have the fucking you don't have the people on that are just like if you go on like the hardcore Reddit, it's like,
Oh,
you're
it's
a fucking
insufferable.
jerk off.
Straight edge for life. Sell out.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, come on,
Yeah.
man.
We
Come on.
don't-
Everybody gets along for the most part, and I love how it's moderated, and it's like because even I got yelled at, and it's like I love that shit. You know what I mean?
I got a shit posted. I got one of my posts taken down because I was requesting a pirated copy of an album. Like the robot was like, "Yo, you can't do that." I'm like, "Yo, I can't find no one anywhere. I need it."
Yeah, I forget what I posted, and I think Shawn was like, "Yo, go back off a little bit." I'm like, "Gotcha," because I just like to break people's balls, man. You know what I mean?
But there is an interesting dialogue. The more people that sign up, it's an interesting mix of demographic because you have the young fans who are all into it, who are going crate diving for all this kind of weird, obscure shit. And then you have the fans like us who were older, who were there when it happened, and they're like the kind of like the old like metalhead types. And occasionally the conversation will veer and pull in like, okay, well, who do you like that's modern? And you get the tip, you get your Talas and you get your Zone Zeros and 13s and whatnot. But then somebody will be like, yo, I kind of checked out this band called Sanguisugabog and they were awesome. And then then the conversation takes on a whole new level because it's going in all sorts of weird directions. So yeah, definitely hop on there and check it out. Even if you don't use Reddit, the Nu Metal board is definitely one worth it's one worth visiting.
I don't know if you guys posted on this one yet, but there was one that this 15-year-old posted. It said, "Were the 90s actually that amazing?" And it was all these old dogs jumping in going like, yeah, man, like there was no phones, no one was taking pictures at shows, everyone just was enjoying their shit. I didn't, everything wasn't super accessible, so you were able to you felt the value of holding physical media in your hand and the waiting for an album to come out and then going to fucking Target or wherever to try to get the CD. Oh, they don't have the CD? Shit, I gotta go to the city and try to get the CD there.
And all midnight album releases.
Yep. And then when you finally got it, you appreciated it instead of it just being like play,
To your point, Shawn, how much and Jay could say this too because he's a little older. So the anticipation of waking up on a day of a show, it's just all day. You're like, oh my God, this is the longest fucking day ever. And then when the show finally comes, it's gone in a second. And you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
But you had the greatest fucking time of your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
trying to
the 90s were amazing.
sneaking out in high school at lunch to run over to the record store on a Tuesday to pick up Far Beyond Driven, right? Like that's what I remember. That now you would just grab your phone. It's kind of different, but yeah, a bunch of old guys reminiscing. So yeah, check out r/Nu Metal New Breach Podcast. Check us out. Find us on Facebook. The group's getting big. It's getting kind of interesting. Less country music fans, more nu metal fans. Kind of really cool. So we want to thank Shawn for coming on again. On behalf of Shawn, Tim, myself, I want to thank everybody listening. And until next time, this is a New Breed Podcast saying cheers.
Later.